This is Coach Clark. We're talking about developing young hurdlers or beginning hurdlers. The point of this video is to simply have a starting point, things that you can use to help develop a kid through a journey to their full potential. One of the most common questions I get from all coaches is, where do the arms go? More importantly, how do I teach where the arms go? I believe the lead arm should never cross the center of the body, and that the back elbow should drive high to the sky. And these things need to happen while keeping the shoulders perfectly square. These arm movements help carry momentum and body weight through the top of the hurdle. These movements also help stay very close to the sprint movement of the arms. Throughout the video, you will see several exercises that reinforce these movements for a lot of repetition to hopefully make these natural movements over the hurdles. Here are some elite examples or models with these type of movements. You'll notice the lead arm doesn't cross the center of the body. You'll notice the back arm is elbow high and hand close to the body. You also notice square shoulders and good lean from the hips. I am a firm believer in being technically sound, simply because if we're technically sound, we can move faster and faster and faster and always maintain balance and body control. I also believe in working both sides of the body. We do every drill and exercise with both legs. Here's Max Tuttle on his weak leg. This is at 42-inch hurdles, and even though it doesn't feel quite as good to him, we can't visually see a difference between his strong leg and his weak leg in the drill. Here are two examples of hurdlers working on crammed hurdles, or hurdles that are closer together, specifically focusing on sharp, tight technique. In time, the hurdlers' drills, technically sound drills, will transfer over to the races at full speed. As you watch this in slow-mo, you should notice some of the same movements from the drills happening in the race. Here are three things I look for as the athlete enters the hurdle and exit the hurdle. One is that the heel squeezes up towards the glute. Two, that the knee lifts. And three, coming off the hurdle, that the trail knee drives all the way to the front of the hip and they end up in a sprint type position. Now this video is all about developing young hurdlers or beginning hurdlers. We're going to start with some exercises to improve body control and coordination, starting with forward and back leg swings. We do these as part of our warm-up, but more importantly, it helps them to learn to control their core and keep their shoulders and hips from twisting. We also have side-to-side leg swings. This would keep the shoulders square, but we allow the hips to twist, and we want our toe to rotate up towards the sky on every swing. Wall claws are very simple, but I think they're key in teaching sprint mechanics in the legs and also teaching kids to stabilize their core.
Switch, hustle around. 2, 1, 1, 2, 3.
When they do this drill, I'm looking for heel extension back behind their body and snapping the heel up to their glute, punching their knee to the front and letting their lower leg swing out to about 90 degrees on the knee. This drill allows us to work on arm drive, dorsiflexion, core stability. I think it's very simple. It takes no equipment, and it helps young kids learn correct body mechanics and core stability. Something that I've added over the last 2 seasons are the single leg, straight leg Romanian deadlift and a walk. I'm looking for a straight line from their heel to their head, hinged at the hips, parallel to the ground. The next 2 drills specifically focus on mobility and flexibility. The first is Eagles.
Put your arm straight out, Audrey, and try to get your toe to your fingers. That a girl. How do you do this?
As athletes improve in these 2 exercises, you'll notice that they're much more flexible, that they're less likely to get injured, that their stride length can improve. We always pair scorpions with eagles. This is essentially the opposite exercise, laying on our stomach instead of our back and getting the toe to the opposite hand. I believe part of my success as a coach is making sure that we do every drill for a reason, and our athletes know what the reason is. We teach them step by step what we want out of each drill and how it's going to relate to their performance. And the big lesson, maybe the most important lesson here, is the earlier they get it, the better they'll get it later. So taking more time when they're young pays off down the road.
Go.
Here's a 10-year-old doing this drill for maybe the 2nd or 3rd time of her life. Here's a drill that we call the fast leg. Here's a 10-year-old and probably a 12-year-old doing this drill. The girl closest to the camera has had several sessions with these drills. She's only 14, and all of this technique is coming together and really paying off. This is how our drills look for our high school team. And we have several lines, but in the beginning of the season we really take a lot of time to teach. As the season progresses, there's more and more doing, less and less talking.
Pick up speed through the finish line. Go.
But we're always still talking, making comments, giving encouragement, letting them know what's right, what needs improved, so they always have some sort of feedback.
Pop your knee up, quick response, quick off the ground. Relax, speedy arms, quick arms. Pull your knee up, pull your knee up, pull your knee up.
Our next segment here is over improved strength and balance. We're going to start with hurdle walkthroughs. We call these doubles because we'll have 2 feet down between each hurdle. The keys to this drill are the beginning and ending of each hurdle. The knee up, toe up with dorsiflexion, and then pulling the knee through, and ending with the knee high and holding that position for a second. Now this is early in this athlete's career or learning this. She hasn't been doing it very long. So you see kind of the thinking and her being unstable and thinking through each one, and that's just common in the teaching of it. Here's a full group doing it at track club. You'll notice their arm drive though, we're also trying to snap our arms through, being kind of a sprint type position off of each hurdle. The point of them driving their knee through and holding that up is to get that hip flexor used to getting that knee up and holding the leg up to improve strength.
Jack, come over here. Video. Good one, Audrey.
I've got different series of hurdle drills that we do almost every day as part of our warm-up. These are lateral A skips over hurdles. This is what it would look like at a team practice.
Running arm drive. Elbow should snap to the up in the back. Hand up, relax in the front. Keep your chest up, bring your knee up to it. Don't bring your chest down. Don't be a hunchback. Don't.
Perfect squats with just body weight, both single leg and double leg, I think are important for young athletes.
Good, go back up. Awesome.
Body control, body awareness, core strength, all of these are things that we can work on in just a simple exercise. I'm looking for her chin up, chest up, knees hopefully not pushing out past the toes, and her thighs getting parallel to the ground. Heels should be on the ground. These are all things I'm looking for as she does this. These are called fire hydrants. Just get down on all fours, dorsiflex the foot, try to keep about 90 degrees on the knee, and then we're lifting that outside knee as high as we can to the sky and really just squeezing our glute. We do exercises like this in our program, I would say at least twice a week as part of our practice. A hurdle seat leg lift is another exercise we do to build the upper part of the leg, specifically the hip flexor. This one is pretty difficult for most kids. A lot of kids have to start by putting their hands on the ground and kind of leaning back to do it. But as time goes on, they can keep their hands off the ground and squeeze that leg up without touching anything else. So there are a lot of exercises out there that don't take any equipment that you can do to develop and strengthen your athletes, and these are just a few. So next we have developing hurdle technique for beginners. The first one that we have here are called hurdle seat leaners. We can sit right on the ground for these or on a floor. We can work on our arm drive and leaning into the hurdle from our hips. We can teach from drills like this, but they can also do them on their own.
And drive forward. Don't swing your arm across. Drive forward. Yes, better. Pull your toe forward, your back toe forward. Yep.
These are called trail leg sliders. Again, we go down in a hurdle seat, but now we can work on the arms coming off of the hurdle and driving our knee through and popping our posture up to tall. Notice that the back arm, the elbow is high, and when the hand comes forward it stays close to the hip and punches up towards the cheek. And the lead arm rips around the trail leg to that same side hip. Trinity does a really good job of demonstrating this correctly. This is called the seated hurdle exchange. This is the athlete's first day ever doing this drill. I'm trying to get the athletes to get in a perfect plank, wrap a trail leg to the back, and then they're similar to a hurdle seat, and then drive their arms in like a hurdler. So here's the second time ever that this athlete's done it. This is 10-year-old Kaylee. So we're trying to get her to be in a more perfect plank, and then get the trail leg back and lean into it, just like our leaners from earlier. All of these drills that we've just gone through are several developmental exercises that of course we do all the way through until they're finished with high school. But now we're going to get into the core drills to be a hurdler. We're going to start with lead leg fence drills. Focus on our arm drive and on our lead leg. On our lead leg we want our heel to lift towards the glute as we stated earlier, knee to come up, and then extend into the fence. Heel up, knee up, drive into the fence, shoulders square, elbow up in the back.
Come on, drive in. Go way back, elbow, yeah.
This is probably Kaylee's like third or fourth time doing this, maybe. I think she does really good for a 10-year-old. She has decent heel lift, good knee lift, pretty decent drive into the bleachers, really good back elbow. The only thing that she could improve on is she's kind of wrapping her front arm around her face, but otherwise that's really good for just a little kid. Here's a couple pretty good examples. Heel lift, knee lift, square shoulders, driving with a lot of power through the top of the hurdle. Then we have the trail leg fence drill or wall drill. First on setup, we want the hurdle lined up with the ankle that's on the ground. The hurdle should be placed more than an arm length away from the fence or the wall. Then we're trying to extend from the head all the way to the heel in a long line, and then pull our leg over the hurdle as we pull our toe up and out, dorsiflexed. Try to get the heel tight to the butt and get the knee all the way to the front. We really want our knee to be rising through this whole path. And when we end, we want good posture, chin up, chest up, and have that knee up at a 90-degree angle, similar to that of a sprint. I typically say to my athletes to end with a chin up, chest up, knee up, toe up. And I like them to pause there to feel that. Pausing at the front helps them to develop hip flexor strength again. This is a good demo because we don't see a lot of hip twist in order to pull that leg forward. And we also don't see the heel lift really, really high before she pulls her knee through. The knee is always higher than the foot. This is the common mistake you want to look for with your beginning hurdlers. They tend to open their hips towards the hurdle. You'll notice that their foot raises straight up to the sky before it pulls forward. Here you can see how her hips are twisting, her trunk is twisting slightly. This ends up taking more time to clear the hurdle, and it'll also cause some twisting back the other way as she clears the hurdle. They typically, in this drill though, can end always with good square posture with chin up, chest up, knee up, toe up. This is especially common for young guys because of the hurdle height. This kid is actually, for a freshman in high school, doing a pretty good job. It's very minimal for his age. I often video this drill from the back to show kids how their hips twist. You can also see how her heel flips up to the sky because of this hip twist. This girl is a prime example of teaching early to keep those mistakes from happening as they get older. This girl will enter her freshman year with pretty minimal hip twist as a high school hurdler. I call this drill load and go, simply because we're going to load the takeoff leg and then we're going to push through the hurdle. Once we've pushed off the ground, we're trying to drive our lead leg down and then get our trail leg through as quick as we can. This drill is done to learn to push off of your last step off going into the hurdle. It's also done to help us reduce flight time. Next we have quick overs. We do these with pretty low barriers. You can use anything you have, 8, 10, 12-inch hurdles. We're trying to learn to get our lead knee up and right back down, and as soon as that thing's going down, get our trail leg around and down as quick as we can right after it. It's important to notice that even though we're trying to be quick, we still get knee lift, knee lift, knee lift, knee lift. Now this athlete's pretty advanced, so he does a good job incorporating hurdle arms as well, which isn't required, but as they become more advanced, I definitely encourage it. This is Kaylee's second time ever doing this drill. Here's Trinity, who's worked on it maybe 4 weeks or so. Here's the 7th grader, maybe doing it her second time. Moving on to lead leg half hurdle drills. This is where we start putting everything together. We start looking for heel lift, knee lift, extension of the leg, and ripping it down. So here we get heel lift, knee lift with a little bit of lean, extending of the leg, push off from the back, and then snap down, trying to get our body from our heel to our head in a fairly straight line. And then if we did a true trail leg, we would send that knee a little bit higher. Heel lift, knee lift, the back leg, extend the leg. Her arms could be a little tighter. Snap down the lead leg and try to be a little bit more in sprint form there. But still, for a beginning hurdler, this is pretty good. So here's our little 10-year-old. I'm having her to do the same advanced drill, but I just want her to feel some of the movements and have fun. I'm not going to be overcritical. We can see that she's getting heel lift, knee lift, extension of the leg. She kind of had a lead arm there, so that's enough. She's getting some things for sure. Trail leg half hurdle drills. One of the keys to this drill is getting a lot of lead leg knee drive first to help make sure that you can do the trail leg properly. The trail leg should push off the ground, drive forward, continuously moving up. Remember that the knee should always be higher than the foot, and then drive all the way to the front. Knee lift past the hurdle board. Trail leg knee drive all the way to the front. Arm drive coming off the hurdles to get back into sprint mechanics. Trinity, our 14-year-old, does a really good job of keeping her hips square and pulling her trail knee all the way to the front and then driving it down into a sprint step. Here's our young hurdler again, just to demonstrate again that she's getting some of the concepts, whether it's perfect or not. Now if you go back and do this at practice, remember that it's going to take time. It doesn't go perfect and it takes a while for kids to get it. You're going to have this guy. You have to be patient and they have to be patient. Hurdle drills, going over the middle, putting this all together. Now I'm going to start this with saying, only give an athlete one thing at a time to think about. As an example, the only thing I'm going to tell this athlete when she finishes is to get her trail toe up and out.
Yes, it's just flopping through. Control where it goes. Watch her. She does a really good job of that.
Some things that Trinity's doing well. Her trail leg is coming around and her knee's getting all the way to the front and driving down into a sprint step. Her lead arm isn't necessarily crossing the middle of her body, or if it does, it's very minimal. And she's punching her back arm to the front and ripping her front arm to her hip. Here's a 7th grader demonstrating this drill now over the middles. You can see Audrey, our 7th grader, crossing the mid part of her body with her lead arm just a little bit, and you'll notice when she pulls off the hurdle or rips off the hurdle that she ends up twisting back the other way. So this is why we want to make sure that we don't twist into the hurdle. It tends to make us twist out of the hurdle. Here's the slight twist in, which causes the shoulders to slightly twist out. I truly believe that technique pays off and that it can help kids reach full potential. I hope this helped you.
North High School. Let's get it!